Hi friends, it's Meg Tucker from Meg Tucker Talks. Spring is officially here. Now I know we've got a lot of other stuff going on in the world, so what better time to stay inside and make some super fun, creative spring dishes with Egg Farmers of Alberta, who, as we know, I love so much. Here's what we're going to make. We're still breaking the rules and we're gonna make kind of a Pop-Tart, but with eggs on puff pastry. So it's a breakfast and it's a little puffy and springy, get it? And it's also using eggs, our favorite. This is actually a really fun thing that you can make with the kids. So if they're driving you crazy, March break, spring break, staying indoors, this is a fun recipe for all of you. Let's get started. We are using store-bought puff pastry. Guys, I know you can make your own, and by all means, attempt it. I'm not. I'm using store-bought puff pastry. I just bought it in the long cardboard container. It comes frozen, and then we popped it into the fridge overnight. So then the next morning you can unroll it. This is what it looks like when it's unrolled. You have to work kind of quickly. I just put it on a Silpat type sheet. You can use parchment paper, totally good too. I unrolled it, I put a little bit of flour underneath just so that we don't have sticking. And again, you want to work fairly quickly. So this recipe could not be easier. I have a knife, but just so you don't wreck your Silpat, you can use the back of a butter knife. And what we're gonna do, my sweet hubby, he would use a ruler, but I'm just ballparking this into 4 squares. Once we get it cut, we're gonna move our Silpat. We're gonna bring our parchment paper lined baking sheet. My dog might make an appearance. Y'all know Oliver. And then we're gonna very quickly transfer the squares onto the parchment. Now I'm only making 3 of them today just because there are 3 of us at home, but you can make as many as you want. You can make rounds. I'm making squares, but you can certainly make rounds if you'd like. And then check it out. So here you have your squares on your baking sheet. What's next, Meg? It's so easy, guys. All we need to do at this point is we need to take a fork and we need to give a little bit of pressure in the area where you don't want the puff pastry to puff up too much. There are a couple of ways you can do this, but this is what I'm choosing to do. I'm going to pinprick just sort of a little bit around the outside. So I'm making an inside border on the puff pastry. Here is another tip. If you can get your hands on little ramekins or little bowls, these are oven, microwave, and dishwasher safe. This is a game changer. You are literally going to take a ramekin and you're going to press it into the center of each square. And you might think this is kind of ridiculous, but here's what's gonna happen. Preheated oven to 400, ramekins on top of the puff pastry. We're gonna pop the puffed pastry into our preheated oven and we're gonna bake them for about 8 minutes. And what's gonna happen is the outsides are gonna puff up, which is going to give us a well. See where I'm going with this? We'll be right back. Look at these little beauties. We've got our puff pastry squares. They have been pre-baking in the oven at 400 degrees for about 8 minutes, and you'll see that we actually used a little ramekin that's hot in the center of each one. So be really careful. This is an awesome project you can do with the kids, especially since we're all kind of laying low these days. So now what happens? Well, this is the fun part. This is where we can put our toppings. Don't go overboard. This is literally should be the story of my life. I like going overboard with lots of stuff, but this is extra aged white cheddar. So a little goes a long way, and you just want to put a little bit in that well, just a tiny, tiny bit. You can always add stuff at the end and broil it if you want to add a little extra kick, but for now, we want to make sure that going back in the oven, it has a chance to still cook fully through. You can use whatever you like. We'll do a little bit of thyme. You can do a little fresh chive. We've got some rosemary here, so maybe we'll do one with rosemary. Little goes a long way. This is just one little puff pastry square, okay? And then we've got some fresh sage, just a couple little pieces here. We will then transfer very carefully our eggs to the center. So we say a little prayer. That one has gone out a little bit. Don't freak out. That's the beautiful thing about cooking. Guys, don't worry. If it's not perfection, it's fine. You just want to kind of give it a spot. If that one starts to go out a little bit, we're still okay. Now, a little bit of salt. The quicker you can get it into the oven, the better though. Keep in mind, because once it starts cooking, that egg's gonna be set in place. A little bit of pepper. Back into the 400-degree oven for 12 minutes. Okay, look at these puffy beauties. We've taken them out of the oven, and here's what I've learned. We initially cooked the puff pastry for 8 minutes with the ramekins sitting inside of them. You might want to go even as much as 10 minutes. And again, your oven temperatures vary. Our oven is probably different than yours. Then we put them back in for 12 minutes. But again, we all like our eggs cooked differently. Kids might like the yolk hard or medium to hard. So we cooked it for 12 minutes. We're gonna cut into it and see how runny, or if it is runny. So let's grab a little knife. Let's get really in close here for a shot. We may have a bit of runny. We'll see. Perfect for spring. Oh, there is runny. I know there's runny. Which one should I do? This one or this one? We're gonna go this one. Isn't it so funny? But it's like that moment of truth. Got a little bit of running. That's perfect. So you've got a little bit of run. Your white from your egg is cooked enough. Now we need to sample. Here we go. Come on with your bad self. This one has the thyme. Oh, that is so good. You get the buttery crunch from the puff pastry. You've got a little bit of that sharp cheddar. Again, you could always add a little bit more to the top and pop under the broiler just for 30 seconds. The creaminess of the yolk, a perfect egg on a perfect little puff pastry. What a fun springtime brunch, breakfast, lunch, snack, any time of the day. We certainly have elevated a puff pastry. Thanks so much to Egg Farmers of Alberta. The recipe is on their website as well as on mine, megtucker.com. We hope you guys have an awesome couple of weeks and happy spring. Bye everyone.